You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. We are back, coming to you live right here on Tuesday, every single Tuesday, except last week. Live at 9 p.m. Eastern. We hope you all are joining us. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host, Sean Sebastian. And Mr.
I'm myself. That's who I am.
That is indeed who you
Everybody knows.
That's Mr. Keith Cheatham.
I like bananas.
Banana Republics.
No.
That's what we're in. Okay, guys, let's continue with the movie headlines. That's all I'm going to say about the state of the current regime.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'm in a banana hammock.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's a good way to
what I'm
celebrate.
in.
I like banana hammocks.
I've got my bullet.
That's not a bullet. Don't lie to people.
I'm celebrating Bullet Train.
Gave it out. Gave it away.
We're drinking
Well,
Maker's Mark.
Hell yeah.
I even
Made
have
in
a
Kentucky.
glass.
well,
Well, it's
Arnold-
made in Kentucky, too.
Is it really? All bourbon is made in Kentucky. What am I
That's
talking
right.
about?
Well,
Hey, it's not classified
85%.
bourbon.
That's not
Truthfully,
That's
Mark,
not
isn't?
true anymore.
It should be true.
Used to,
We're
legally,
keeping it
you couldn't
live.
be labeled bourbon in a store unless it was made in Kentucky, but now
Yeah.
they changed that. But I still don't consider bourbon made outside
It's
of
because the
Kentucky.
Jats
Yeah.
came
real.
over here and
It doesn't-
bought all of our freaking distilleries.
They still
does-
make it here,
Well,
though.
they still make, yeah. They
Jim Beam's still
That's
made
why
here.
they're buying the ones here instead of the ones in other states because they know real bourbon that actually tastes right,
And
can only be
limestone
made in
water
Kentucky.
right there. Just saying.
Yeah.
Because
That's how
our
it-
weather shifts so crazily. You know, it's spring one day and then winter the next.
Is that it?
Well, they say
I didn't
it
know
adds-
where he was
what
going
brings-
with that. I
No,
was
that
like, I
adds
don't
to
know.
because the way the barrels swell and shrink and the heat and they say it helps
Hey,
add to the
I'm
flavor.
fine with
and
that.
Kentucky's weather helps do
I
that.
ain't drinking
because
no
it's so-
Kentucky wine.
Wow.
Shifts so much.
You know,
Yeah.
we don't make wine here.
Yeah.
I'll drink my bourbon.
It's like Scotch is only supposed to be made in Scotland, and they try to chip that.
Well, here's
too.
the thing.
It's like no,
you
can't
said
do
it
that.
was Makers, and yes, it is. We weren't
No,
going
no.
for top
Yeah.
shelf, but it was better
Some
than
people
Bullet.
consider Makers high. I don't, but some people think it's fancy. It's mid shelf.
No,
It goes
it's not
good
fancy.
in coffee.
It's
It does go
Sean's
good
got
in
some.
coffee.
You got
I
some
would
in coffee?
consider
I
it
paired
mid
it
shelf.
with
It's not early times.
That's true. But no, we the reason we have it is because we were gonna have Bullet because of Bullet Train, our review.
But nobody
this
buys that because it's garbage.
week. True. We were
Some people
just
do.
celebrating
Yeah.
the bourbon culture in Kentucky, and then we just slammed it.
Look, there's good bourbon. I like
Oh, yeah.
Basil
I don't
Hayden,
even like
Woodford,
bourbon, but I
Four
know there's-
Roses.
Yeah.
Woodford's my go-to.
Larceny.
top
I
shelf.
like Larceny.
Woodford is like my standard. Buffalo Trace is good.
Angel's Envy's okay.
Those are Lexington, right?
No, I don't like Angel's
Woodford
Envy.
and Buffalo, isn't that all in Lexington?
I believe actually I'm not sure what
Buffalo
the,
Trace is
You
Lexington.
know, I've never been on
Sure.
the bourbon
Bourbon
trail.
Trail. Oh wow.
I've never
What?
taken an
You were
actual
when you were
tra-
at Maker's
We
Bar-
did
Maker's Bar.
actually. We
Jim
did
Beam,
Makers,
and we did
That's
Makers.
on the Bourbon Trail.
Yeah.
You didn't. But you just didn't go anywhere else on the Bourbon Trail,
Right.
though.
Yeah.
But Sean, because when you lived in Bardstown, we went to Makers. That's
Yeah.
the only distillery I've been to. I didn't.
Yeah, but
I've
that's not in
passed.
Bardstown. That's in Loretto.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
close. Yeah.
I mean, Bardstown
Over the
is
hill
like
and through the woods.
how many are in Bardstown? Like 4 or 5.
Oh, there's like 40.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh!
ridiculous.
I didn't know that.
Most are in
Yeah.
Bardstown. That's like the bourbon
It's the
capital
bourbon
of the
capital.
world.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I knew that's where they came a knocking.
Bullets from Bullitt County.
Can
That's
you
why
believe
it sucks. I'm not knocking Bullitt County.
But their
it's better than
moonshine's great.
yes, their moonshine's probably great.
So's their
Uh,
meth.
It's
got-
better than
we got
Jefferson
great meth
County
in
because
Bullitt
everything's
County.
better than Jefferson County.
Got that bathtub blue stuff.
you, man. You better believe it.
Tell you, man. Down there in the hollers.
That's right.
They give you $5
It's
and a
like
honey
for
bun.
bourbon, you need limestone. For good meth, you need a RV. And there's all kinds of those in Bullitt County.
The chemist doesn't hurt. You know, having a good chemist.
Yeah.
So we're here having a little revelry with our bourbon, but not everything is joy and rainbows this week. We keep losing legends this year, and we've had another one pass. So
Wait,
I'm
Chris
just going
Pratt?
to
He
bring a
didn't
little.
die?
Not
No.
that. No.
No.
Who was it?
Olivia Newton-John has now She was what, 74?
73.
73. I gave her an extra year.
God.
That's why I was asking.
Well, at least we didn't do like the last.
Well, I
celebrity
forget what
and-
celebrity it
and
was that they screwed
said
up
They
the year.
died and they didn't die.
Oh, he did
well,
the next
They
day.
did
though.
the next day, but it's like
yeah.
talking about premature.
They called hospice, yeah. but he
Oh,
wasn't on
Wally
yet.
Wally Beaver. I can't think of the actor's name now.
Oh.
Yeah,
but
leave
that
it-
was
leave it to Beaver,
But that was who. Yeah, he died. He didn't die, but then he did.
He did, and he didn't, and then he did.
And Olivia Newton-John really did.
She really did.
She actually is.
I've seen the body.
passed.
Yeah.
She died.
Oh, he's got evidence.
I won't lie. I listened to a little bit of Grease's soundtrack when I heard the news.
Did you?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I was waiting. Oh God! I wanted a reference so bad. That was perfect.
Sorry.
All I know is, guys, I love every Tuesday with y'all. You all,
Summer loving.
you're the one I want.
Summer loving.
You're the one I
loving.
want.
Happened so fast.
That's right.
Actually, funny enough, I did film my sister-in-law's.
I don't know what
Middle school.
What about Summer
No.
loving it? He's like, I filmed my sister-in-law's middle school. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here?
Got a little bourbon in me. I get truth.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I filmed my sister-in-law's middle school theater class. They did a rendition of Grease.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
And I
Was
just
it any
remember
good?
that. No, it's middle school.
It was middle. Right. Hey, sometimes they pull it off. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
they're just that right
I'm
amount
waiting
of
for
cute
them to
and
remake
clumsy
that
it's
woke
good.
like they did West Side Story.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna happen.
Grease?
Yeah, they're gonna remake that, and it's gonna be so woke.
I'm surprised they haven't tried yet.
I
I mean,
mean,
it'd be
they will.
stupid.
They
Like,
will.
they don't need to, but yeah, I'm really.
Which,
will.
it's weird because West Side Story I would have thought was untouchable because
yeah, well,
of
that's
how
the
many
thing.
awards
If they
it won.
can remake
Right.
West Side
It won.
Story, why
Yeah.
wouldn't they try to remake Grease?
But that's the thing. Grease, I feel like, is such a
Oh, it's a massive like pop culture. I mean,
Right, yeah.
it's not just a cult classic because I mean, but it's a massive within like the pop culture zeitgeist.
So I just don't see that coming unless it's like maybe 20, 30 years down the road.
I
But
mean,
who knows?
I didn't think you could do Ben Hur, but they tried to remake that too.
Well, that's true. But here's the thing. We know Hollywood is not beyond a cash grab. And Bullet Train, I will say, is
back on
not
track.
one of those. I love
So
it.
it didn't. It came in number one, but it didn't do a lot.
Just
So I think it was just
bourbon's got me
around
sweating.
30 million. So
Like, you all
hot
know
over
I
there.
can't. You know I don't do bourbon.
Ooh, and he's only got a little. He's got like a thimble in that coffee.
Yeah,
We should get him a shot near the review.
He's got to be able to drive home, Brandon.
yeah. I gotta be able. To,
Hey, you could crash on my couch.
no, I gotta work tomorrow.
Oh, that's true.
Well,
Yeah.
it'd kind of be like driving into work, although you're just driving back home.
Yeah.
there you go. So I got to get up early to go to work,
Yeah.
which is at my house.
No, unfortunately, school starts tomorrow, so we got all that going on in the morning.
Yeah, that's gonna be a busy day. Oh yeah,
That's why I'm drinking
They're
bourbon
probably-
now.
I was gonna say I don't envy you one bit.
So they wouldn't go over well. Honey, I can't help you get the kids to school tomorrow. I drank too much bourbon.
He wouldn't
Yeah.
even say that. He would just be passed out.
Yeah.
But no, let's talk about Bullet Train.
Yeah.
All right.
The movie on the block this week with Brad Pitt in it.
Put it on the block.
However, it is not a remake of a movie Bullet Train that came out in the
No.
70s, but it is
Well, that was
based
a
on a
Japanese
novel.
movie.
I see, and I haven't seen it. I have no idea what it's about.
Well,
but
most
you
people
even
probably haven't because it's a Japanese movie. It's not a Hollywood-made
Well,
movie.
you know, I mean, okay, but people have seen Godzilla, and Godzilla's
That's true.
Japanese.
So wait,
I'm
so
just
in
saying.
India it's Bollywood. What do the Japanese have?
Jollywood.
Konnichiwa.
Every country makes.
I like it.
Every country makes movies, so I don't guess they all have. Just
in
India
Russia,
does.
it's got to be like Gulag
It's
wood.
Rusky wood.
Rusky wood.
Rusky wood. Rusky wood. Yes. Rusky wood. Yes. Okay.
All right.
Japan is Domawood.
Domawood.
Domawood. What about
Hattori Hanzo.
Hattori
Hanzo.
Hattori wood.
Hanzo wood.
Hanzo wood.
Hanzo wood. I like
That
Hanzo
sounds
wood.
epic. See, Japan gets the epic one. Russia gets Rusky wood. We like Japan better.
Russia's is Putin wood.
That's what I'm saying. Vlad wood.
He's got a theme park like Dollywood. It's Putin wood. You can't wear a
That just
shirt.
doesn't sound right.
You
though.
just- you
Putin
go
wood.
everywhere
It's like,
with
what
no
even
shirt
happened,
on.
Putin wood?
You ride around on horses from one ride to
With
the
no
next.
shirt, and you go
Shirtless.
fishing shirtless and everything.
Yes.
You walk out on the ice.
We should
shirtless.
probably
Okay,
eventually get
yes,
to the
yeah.
review.
That's true.
Well, all right, yeah.
It's based on a Japanese novel, not a Japanese movie.
Yeah.
That's what Brandon was trying to get at.
Here is our review of Bullet Train. The
following is a review by Keith Cheatham. Hollywood hasn't been the most creative the past few years, with most blockbusters being a part of one major franchise or another, and award-nominated films mostly having the same predictable agenda. There have been the rare exceptions this year that have been thoroughly well-made and entertaining, such as Nope and Top Gun Maverick, itself a sequel. But mostly this year has been the same predictable and generic films. Released this weekend, however, is Bullet Train, a film that looks promising and unique. From David Leitch, director of Atomic Bomb, Deadpool 2, and Hobbs & Shaw, Bullet Train is based on the 2010 novel of the same name written by Kotaro Osaka. The story follows an ex-mercenary dubbed Ladybug, played by Brad Pitt, who returns to the profession after having tried to give it up due to his extreme amount of bad luck. Given an easy first gig by his handler, Ladybug is set to board a bullet train traveling from Tokyo to Kyoto and retrieve a briefcase on board. Unbeknownst to Ladybug, the train also has several other mercenaries and assassins on board, all on various jobs also connected in some way to the very briefcase Ladybug must retrieve. Ladybug's simple snatch and grab job soon becomes a fight amongst guns for hire, as he must navigate a train full of enemies and his bad luck. Bullet Train is nothing if not entertaining. Full of great action set pieces and fights with humorous dialogue, the movie is fast-paced and over-the-top. Brad Pitt and much of the supporting cast deliver hilarious back and forths that scream Tarantino or Sorkin light, full of quick exchanges of quips and witticisms, but much more low-brow than Sorkin, and not as witty nor vulgar as Tarantino. It's a fun middle ground, but ultimately doesn't deliver anything near as compelling, though I will say Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry as Tangerine and Lemon deliver the most entertaining performances in this regard. The story isn't extravagant, but where it shines is in the ways each character and their story connects to the greater plot. By the film's end, each major player and their motives all come together in a satisfying and clever way that doesn't feel unnatural outside of a few moments at the movie's end that feel too tacked on and over the top by the time the movie is wrapping up. Outside of some of the more generic plot points, it is those very over-the-top and tacked-on moments that I had the biggest problem with. Based on his previous projects, fast, manic, and full of excess seems to be Leitch's style. And truthfully, I find it impossible to say that his films aren't at least entertaining. Sure, they're not highbrow, but they are fun. And like his previous films, Bullet Train establishes itself from the start as a film that will throw suspension of disbelief out the window. Even still, there are times I felt it needed to rein things in. And I would be lying if I said it didn't bother me that not a single passenger in the film nor worker noticed things were amiss the entire time hitmen and criminals were running amok on board the train. Ultimately, however, the humor, action, and the way each character's story tied together were satisfying. Though having not read the novel the film is based on, I cannot say how much of the story elements that are worth praising came from the source material and how much was David Leitch. The movie is a fun ride and worth the viewing, and I know I will find myself watching it again, just for the mindless fun of it. That is, however, the best way to sum it up, as mindless fun. I give Bullet Train 2.5 out of 4 stars.
2.5 out of 4 stars.
I agree.
For Bullet
completely.
Train.
I liked it.
Same.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, because some people, when anytime you go below 3, some people are just like, oh, it's not good. And I'm like, no, it's not.
You say that every time.
I have to defend it when the ones I like them.
Because by now people know
I don't
that
know.
2.5 stars doesn't mean it's bad.
I just have to defend it because sometimes people don't.
I mean, it's not right in the middle. It's just above
It's
right
just
in
above
the middle.
it.
Yeah.
Just above average.
There were some times I felt things were rushed or a little too over the top. I know, like I said in my review, that the movie does set itself up as basically being like, we're going to do ridiculous things and get away with it. But there's still times when I'm like, there's still times when I feel like somebody would have noticed all this going on.
Yes.
Like, I don't mean get away with it as in like they're going to do bad things and not pay the price. I mean, just like nobody's going to notice all the ridiculous going on. Like the movie kind of sets itself up as, well, we're a ridiculous movie, so things are just going to happen.
I think they tried to combat that a little bit by saying halfway through the film that the main bad guy bought all the tickets.
Yeah, but at that point, it's like, well, they would have. By that
but even
point,
then,
I feel like it was too late.
He clarifies though that he bought them at the point of where they stopped last.
Yes. That way nobody else.
So
would
it was
know.
like
on the train before that,
yeah. I
would've-
was like, there were moments
Yeah.
like there was the funny scene with they're all in the quiet car, and like I enjoyed that scene, and I even enjoyed what they were, trying to showcase in terms of them fighting creatively, but also quietly. And I'm like, but it's not that quiet.
Karen. You had the Karen on the train that was like telling him to be quiet.
Real quick, I wanted to, let's go around. Are we all on the same page? Are we all roughly saying 2.5?
2.5.
Okay, so we're all 2.5.
But yeah, there's even the shot of the guy cleaning at the end. And I'm like, okay, so now everybody's off the train. They're on the final stop. Nobody else is getting on because all the tickets were bought up. And here's the staff cleaning everything, and still nobody notices like dead bodies and blood on the floor. And
they try to make it funny by posing the bodies, and things like that. But I'm like, you would notice blood coming out of this kid's eyes, and you would notice, And
even in some of those scenes with the posing of the bodies, like there wasn't enough of a setup for there to be a payoff. Like you see him doing something weird.
Because it's just done for comedic effect, and that was it.
Right, but the comedic effect there was no payoff for it because you didn't see the initial setup. The punchline wasn't given. The punchline was just when you see him awkward and then he falls on the table, and I'm like, it would have been funny to see him try a couple of different poses and prop him up.
You look at Halloween Kills, that's the best part of that movie is how he propped those two guys up. But that was more in line with how we know what we know of
Plus,
Michael
it was
Myers.
so out of character in that moment. It was kind of off the wall. It was great. It was out of place.
It was great.
But in this movie, it leaned heavily on that, and I'll even bring up the fact that like the guy cleaning the floor, and not, it was like, but in the scene just before that, the one guy walking through the same car noticed something on the floor. I think it was like a puddle of blood or water.
The blood on the floor
and
where they drug the body.
Walks back to the bathroom where they're locked up, and I'm like, that guy cleaning the floor is in the same car in the next scene or the shot, and I'm like, there's no stain.
That's what I was saying.
Just like
he should have noticed.
There were just but then also just continuity errors.
I didn't know if that was the same car or not, because there were multiple cars.
Because he's sweeping up the water bottle.
Gotcha,
he's sweeping up the Fiji bottle, and I'm like, again, he
cleaned the blood stain before he swept the body, and then he didn't ask any questions. He's
right.
like, oh, there's blood here. Let me clean that, sweep up the Fiji bottle.
Exactly. Let me get the blood out of this carpet real quick.
It's like, man, somebody really, really bled. What'd they do to themselves?
But ultimately, I also felt like there were just too many instances where I knocked off the most amount of points for it not reinventing the wheel. And I trust me, there are many criticisms I have for films that don't reinvent the wheel, and that's not one of them, because you don't have to.
Not always,
However, when you play so closely to things we've already seen before, you mentioned it during the review, something like Kill Bill, and there's even just other, it felt very Tarantino-esque in my mind.
Even the director's prior films, because he did Deadpool 2, he did Hobbs and Shaw, Atomic Blonde.
In Deadpool 2, I thought was weaker than the first.
It was weaker than the first.
I didn't like it as much.
And Hobbs and Shaw was fun, but again, not a lot of substance. It was just a lot of fun action. So when you look at his trend and how like he all his movies are kind of over the top and full of excess, it's like, okay, that's fine if that's your thing, but you're not really giving us anything else of substance. And after a while, when you've made 4 or 5 movies that are all this, it does get old, because it's like, well, we've seen you do this. This is like the only thing you're making.
Well, yes, and the only reason I'll disagree with that to a degree is because, I mean, Tarantino.
That's bad, dude. Sorry.
I get what you're about to go, but I would say every single they're his unique style, but every single one of Tarantino's films, for the most part, are the ones that aren't unique from his other films are the ones that are like Hateful Eight that aren't the best.
But that's also what I would argue about this director. I would say that David Leitch's problem is that he doesn't develop enough of his own style. He borrows too much from others. And to me, you had Scorsese elements, you had Tarantino elements that not necessarily are bad. It's okay to borrow them. I mean, look, we just reviewed Nope, and Peele borrows a lot from a lot of suspense.
But he also makes it his own. Yeah.
Exactly. And to me, that's what you have to do as a unique filmmaker is make it your own. And I don't think he did as well a job in this film, portraying that. And ultimately, I just felt the cleverness at which he thought things. I mean, there's a line that Brad Pitt drops, towards the end of the film where he's like, and something witty. And it fits his character, and it was funny that he was like, he didn't think of something
for that
witty.
Scene,
And it's one of those moments where it's like, okay, only Brad Pitt can sell that kind of line. But you don't get to use one line like that to juxtapose against the rest of the film for not being clever or witty. And I'm like, there were way too many moments between Tangerine and Lemon, between the character of the Prince, who is Joey King. And there's so many moments where you try to set up this like, okay, she's a badass in disguise of, oh, she's already thought 10 steps ahead of you. And then you see Tangerine and Lemon, who are these ultimate, assassins,
like henchmen
that borrow from one another, and they have a nice backstory. I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the movie,
the way
I thought everything came together was good.
Yeah.
In the early parts of the setup, I thought it was messy, and I thought that he was throwing too much out there to be spastic and try to throw you off the breadcrumb trail.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think the payoff was good.
Well, I thought I told Keith when we came out of the movie, I felt like that borrowed from Guy Ritchie, because I felt like
there you go.
Snatch and The Gentleman and things like that. There were moments with the editing where it went back to like showing you the bottle origin story, like showing you the bottle rolling around and getting bought at in the vending machine, and like I thought that was cool. But it was
done before.
That was very Guy Ritchie going back to show you how Arthur gets to the sword in the King Arthur movie, and just like I said, from Snatch and The Gentleman and things like that. It was that kind of filmmaking.
For me, that too is why I land on 2.5, is because even the things I did enjoy, like you all are saying, I've seen from like Guy Ritchie, Tarantino, the fast-paced dialogue. I mentioned Aaron Sorkin in the review, and there are things we liked, because we did say we ultimately liked the movie. Like there were like the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff I thought was funny.
Yeah.
That was one part.
That was well done.
That was one part between those two characters that I didn't think was overplayed, even though it could have been, because it is carried on. Yeah, because it's carried throughout the whole movie.
Even in the emotional parts, when one of them thinks the other has died,
and I think that's why it pays off, is because how the sticker comes into play at the very end. I think that's why it pays off, is because when you finally see it has more of a purpose than just a silly joke.
Yes,
and that's what I think a lot of the other stuff is lacking. Like what Brandon said with like the Lana and something witty. It's like most of everything in there, dialogue wise, with the humor was kind of arbitrary, and only the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff actually had like a payoff, and that's why that humor I think worked.
I was surprised. Like I'll say that I figured early on in the film I kind of had it pegged that, and just spoiler alert, that the older Japanese guy was going to be someone from that crime syndicate at the beginning, but I did not know about what's her name, Joey King. I did not. I was completely surprised by
her being the daughter.
I wasn't going to try to say it, but
well, he doesn't know whose daughter.
Yeah, whose daughter. But that surprised me towards the end.
Yeah. No, I agree. I saw Hiroyuki Sanada. That's the Japanese guy.
Yes, he is so. He
like
is awesome in everything he does.
In fact, I would love to see this movie with how well the Prey has done, and it being based on like a predator hunting Comanches. A lot of fans want them to make a samurai era film. And they want
samurais and predator,
but with him.
Tom Cruise.
But they want
Last Samurai Predator.
His fans want him to do the movie. They're like, they want the predator to be hunting, and he's the one, like the main character that has to like take him down at the end. It's like that could be really awesome.
No, if you're talking Tom Cruise, I'm talking like
no, I'm talking.
I'm saying
Sanada.
No, but I want Top Gun Predator
because he's in The Last Samurai. That guy is. He's the one who teaches him how to be a samurai.
Well, I was gonna say he's very familiar.
Watanabe? No, I know who.
No, he's
that guy.
He's the main fight
he
teacher.
Is.
Yeah, he's the one who teaches him how to fight with a sword.
I also thought too, and again, it very much in that regard felt like Kill Bill. But another thing too that I thought, and I know Keith didn't. I don't know if you had seen, I guess, the first or second trailer for this.
I must not have seen the second trailer. I did see it after the fact, because I didn't realize that they reveal Sandra Bullock in the trailer.
Well, I didn't. I knew her voice from the trailer, but I never saw a trailer where it shows her. In the first trailer,
they show her mouth, and they just show a side shot.
Yeah.
They don't show her.
They
just
full on
hear
show
her
her in the second trailer.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of a spoiler.
Well, they also show Michael Shannon, and I'm like, okay, I
that's
see
a spoiler
him,
too,
and I'm like, dude, White Death. I'm like, they reveal his face at the very end, and I'm like, well, of course I knew it was him because he was in the trailer.
Right.
Yeah.
I just felt like there were moments.
The other cameos though were not.
No, those were good.
Those were surprises too.
Those
there are
spoilers,
two very good cameos in there.
We keep secret on those.
Yeah,
we will.
Yeah.
But I just again, I think I might have enjoyed just a little bit more, not much, because it was exactly what I expected it to be, and I was in it. I was thoroughly entertained. But even the text writing coming up on the screen, introducing the characters, and then doing like a brief flashback. Again, very Tarantino-esque. Nothing.
Yeah, just like his chapters.
Yep. And so there were just moments of I again, not that I didn't enjoy it or it was disappointing.
It just
But also then having certain reveals from the trailer, knowing that the trailer gave away a lot more, I was kind of disappointed in thinking, a lot of this could have been a lot more of a surprise had I not seen the trailer for the first time. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I ultimately, I'm fine with saying 2.5 out of 4 stars.
It was fine.
It's one that I would be intrigued to watch again, just to pick up on some other little nuances, but mainly for the action. It doesn't have any great depth or anything.
It didn't do, I think, as well as they thought it would. It did still come in number 1 because nothing else is out, but it only pulled in, I think, around 30 million, which is
not too
low.
high.
Yeah.
Especially with Brad Pitt at the helm.
Oh, yeah.
It's not too great.
And actually, I am kind of surprised because even though the movie maybe isn't as good as it could have been, I still liked it, and I really thought, with Brad Pitt in the trailer, I thought the trailer sells the movie really well, so I thought it would have done. Yeah. I thought it really would have pulled more money.
Well, and there was nothing else that came out this week.
No,
like that was the movie that came out. And I mean, you still have Nope, but I don't know if it came out. But wait, if Nope was in second, then it must have dropped pretty drastically. Because it came out pretty heavy. I think it was like 70 or 80 million when it launched last week.
There were streaming movies that came out, but like I said, like Keith mentioned, Prey. I think
Gray
that came
Man,
out.
Prey.
Gray Man was the weekend before, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see.
We were off a week.
Yeah, it was decent. I liked it. Another one.
Nope came
what
in
you expected
third
it to be.
because DC League of Super Pets came in second.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it made 11.
And I mean, you're gonna have kids. The
well,
kid factor.
Secret Life, or what? Not Secret Life of Pets. What was the one that came out?
Paws of Fury.
Paws of Fury flopped.
So DC League
good.
of Super Pets hasn't been doing good either.
It just came in second.
It just because nothing else is out.
Yeah.
Nope only did 8 million, but I mean,
wow, it only did 8.
Yeah,
that's abysmal.
Hate to say it dropped 54%. DC League of Super Pets dropped 11%, so it or 52%, so it only made around 22 something last week anyway.
Dang. Okay. Well, I mean, I think Bullet Train's
this
worth
is Nope's third week in theaters.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Never mind. I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
Again, we missed a week.
But still, I mean, that's not. But then again, Jordan Peele's movies like kind of don't have longevity in theaters generally,
and they also have kind of like a.
Yeah.
He's one of those filmmakers that has a following.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are the people that come out.
He doesn't
to see
make
it.
blockbusters, but that's fine because generally they are still financially
they're coming out
successful.
to see it in the first week.
Yeah.
And that's.
Thor: Love and Thunder managed to rope in on number 4 with a nice 7 million. So, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. Thor is in its 5th week at 7 million. That actually is not good for a Marvel movie.
No.
You want to know where Top Gun is? Right in there in 6th, still in the top 10.
Wow.
Still in the top 10. 11th weekend. 11th.
Since Memorial
It
Day.
also did 7 million.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's right there behind Minions, which came in 5th. So
Which we didn't share. It was. I don't know if it's in our headlines yet, but the
We actually.
the fact that
Here's the weird thing.
we did.
We
like a
talked
couple
about
weeks
it
ago.
about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know why certain news outlets, because I looked it up. There were like
about
a
it
ton.
overtaking Titanic.
Yeah.
It became like Paramount's highest grossing film, like
3 weeks ago.
and they said like beating Titanic. So I was just like, okay.
So
Yeah, but that
that-
just came out in the news on the.
Well, no,
5th.
I looked-
That's why we were
Or the-
confused.
I looked in a bunch of news outlets were mentioning that very fact the same day, and I looked and I found an article. I forget, it was from 3 weeks ago.
I didn't
where
think Paramount made
announced it.
Titanic though.
Yeah, it did.
Fox did, didn't they?
No, Paramount made
did they?
Titanic.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't.
and that was
Because I
what they
thought
said.
all of James Cameron's movies were with Fox, but I could be wrong.
I think just
Are you
Avatar.
sure?
Yeah. In fact, I have the. Let me look at the article.
I do remember that it them saying that it was Paramount's biggest.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's the
I
thing.
didn't know they said that it had passed up Titanic domestically.
Because if
July 17th, Top Gun Maverick passes Titanic to become highest grossing film in Paramount Studios history.
Wow. Okay.
see,
Yeah, I don't
and that's
know.
what
That's weird. Why are they just now?
I have no idea. I have no idea why they just
Because it was
now
even
decided
like
to
I
hint
was at
that.
home working and I had Fox on in the background and
they mentioned it?
come on Fox News and was just like this Top Gun, a movie that celebrates American and the military.
I don't know
just
if they were
overthrew
waiting-
Titanic. I'm like, oh, cool.
I'm wondering if they were waiting for some kind of specifics.
They mentioned the fact that Titanic had 3 runs.
Yeah.
And it just overtook
I was
it
gonna
with
say
1 run.
That was
Yeah.
including all of the re-releases.
All the re-releases,
Because
yeah.
the only reason, I think Titanic passed 600 million. No, I think it had originally passed 600 million because it didn't make that much in the last subsequent re-releases. Not as much as like Avatar has made when it re-released. I don't know. Maybe Top Gun will take it. That's probably not going to
It
happen.
should. It deserves it.
It deserves
That's
it.
what it was. Paramount distributed Titanic in North America. 20th Century Fox did international.
Oh, okay.
But even still,
but
that's
again,
still going
well-
with domestic. So
well,
even
I was
still,
gonna say,
yeah.
so domestically,
Yeah.
which is what they're claiming,
For
because
Paramount, yeah.
it still overtook it in terms of domestic release.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
So either
happened
way, it
3
still
weeks
doesn't
ago.
make sense. Yeah.
I don't know why the news outlets just jumped on the
They
bandwagon this
just
week.
like, hey, look what Top Gun's doing.
Red Moon reported it here.
You heard it first.
You heard it here first. Just saying. All right, we got to keep these news media outlets in line.
Easter Sunday came in 8th. I don't
What
know
the
what
hell is that?
I don't know. But
I
it's
don't know. I've never
It's
heard
a
of that.
Universal picture. Oh, it's the one with I don't know
Kevin
the guy's name.
Sorbo.
No, it's some black
Cameron.
comedian dude that I recognize, but I don't know his name.
Who?
That
Is
whatever.
that
no,
Keegan-Michael Key?
No, it's
Peel?
no, not at all.
Is he?
Keegan-Michael Key. That's it.
Who cares?
I remember seeing the trailer. It looked bad.
Maybe if it came out on Easter, it would have been better.
I was gonna say they kind of missed their mark a little bit.
Yes.
They're going by the Muslim Easter.
His name is Joe Coy.
Joe Coy.
That's the guy's name.
Muslim Easter.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, guys. I think we're ready to move on to our.
Well, he's not Muslim. I don't know who he is.
I just joke.
Oh,
I'm not. I don't even know the
Like
guy.
we're gonna celebrate the day Muhammad didn't come out of the grave.
Yeah. He came down from the mount
That's it.
to give us his story, his fable.
It's a good story.
Alrighty, guys, let's
All
move
right.
on to our headlines. Let's get into
Headline. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da. Yeah. Oh, no.
shooby-doop,
That's
bop.
what happens.
I
Sometimes.
thought y'all were gonna bust out into Grease there.
Dude.
He is sweating
bullets over here.
Oh!
Sweating bullets.
Trains.
Oh, do we have like a? That was good. That was good.
Gosh almighty.
He's trying to drink more coffee.
I don't feel anything. I'm just hot.
Yeah.
Freaking burning up over here.
He's
Well,
all
you're
hot
laughing.
and
You're having a good
bothered.
time.
Air conditioner's right up my back and I'm still sweating.
Sweating bullets, man.
Bullets.
All right.
Sweating bullets.
Let's talk
bullet
about the big
train,
news on the block.
Bang, bang,
Jenny?
Warner Brothers.
Jenny on the block?
Not. The
Everybody's
first-
freaking out because they think that Zaslav at Discovery is just coming in and getting rid of all the woke diversity stuff, and they're all panicking because they're just like, oh no, he's racist.
That's it. That's it.
That's the
Terrible,
rumor.
terrible.
That's the rumor mill.
It's what all the CEOs are doing these
that's
days.
the rumor mill.
They're coming in and they're just being racist.
I'm just
Yeah.
ready for Shark Week.
Yeah.
It's past. It's over.
What?
Yeah, Shark Week was like 2 weeks ago, I think.
What?
I swear.
So yeah, I think
I
it's in
haven't heard
July.
a thing about
Yeah.
Shark. I thought it was in August.
No, I think it's done.
What the heck, man?
I know. It used to be in August, but it's over. I'm serious. I think it's already done. I think it was
missed
either
Shark Week?
last week, but apparently it was bad. My boss at work loves it.
They repeat the same crap over and over again.
Well, he said it was even worse. It was like some reality thing where they tried to get a shark to attack them. That's all it was about.
Oh really?
He said
The whole thing, it used to be like,
it was. He
They
said
used
it
to have
was.
all kinds
several
of shows.
themed shows and
I know.
everything. Yeah.
I'd say everything's ruined. I
They
swear.
are. They don't know how to stick with. It's like, look, this is the problem with people complaining about tradition. Is after a while you get tired of new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just give me the old
I
stuff.
want some old, just tried and true.
That's
you
right.
know. I agree.
July 15th.
Oh my God!
Well, I say when
How
I
did
was
I miss this?
It was
That
like-
was when Top Gun overtook Titanic.
I was watching Top Gun instead
Well, I
of
was
Shark
going to
Week.
say because last year when I was in Florida, it was the week of my birthday, and that's when they did Shark Week, and it was the same week this year. So
Oh my God!
I said it actually first premiered in July, so I don't know. July 1980.
I thought it was August too.
I must have had some
Yeah.
bourbon in July and just missed it.
I don't know.
Missed the whole freaking Shark Week.
Because you know what I do? I always
It
just
must
watch
not have been
Jaws.
good,
I don't
'cause I'd have heard about it.
It's not been good in
I'll be
forever.
honest. I want a whale week.
1988, Neil's
I'll-
birthday, July
Whale
17th.
week?
Not the year. I'm just saying
Oh, I
a year before he was born.
Who?
But July 17th, Neil.
Oh.
July 17th, 1988 was the Shark Week, and he was born
Wow.
89.
Wow, I didn't know it had been on that long.
Wow.
On Discovery,
Yeah, Discovery Channel.
and that's crazy because Discovery is now on HBO. They've merged.
Well,
they
they-
merged back in April, but
They-
now
yeah.
they've officially got a
They took
plan
over
moving
Warner
forward.
Brothers. They kicked out a bunch of top tiers, and all the Discovery people came in, and they said, we're cleaning house.
I think that was the best segue I've ever had. I'm just saying. we transitioned seamlessly.
I'm just-
you got us back on track.
I'm just saying that
You got us back in the
I
water.
can't say that I don't approve of what they're doing so far. I know a lot of people are panicking, but the biggest story, obviously,
Well, let's first, before we can move on to that.
Oh,
and
he just
I agree.
stopped you.
Well, the
he
reason
put his hand out like no.
because
Well, I'm not sure where he's going yet, so let's let him talk.
I just want to talk about the fact that we've known about the merger for a while,
Yeah.
but now that we have an actual rollout, there was a little bit of controversy with a slide that was released talking about how HBO Max was going to be geared towards like male audiences. It was going to be serial based versus Discovery Plus, which is obviously geared towards female audiences. And this caused some controversy into what the direction at the helm is for the company.
Well, the
and
CEO has come out and kind of clarified that a lot of things are being kind of misconstrued and blown out of the water, and like that they haven't officially made statements like that, but the news is kind of running with every rumor, which I believe.
I agree, and I think it's just preposterous and ridiculous to take a slide like that in a presentation. I mean, look, there's always going to be a clear-cut objective when it comes to any company who is trying to run
marketing.
a business.
Yeah.
You have to have a clear-cut audience. If you don't, then you're literally just sporadically going about trying to make this business work and make money, and that's not successful.
All the controversy going on right now, or controversy according to the media, because I don't think think any of it's actually controversial, but the media is making it that way. Just like there was a lot of things they were talking about. Discovery, quote unquote, said, and the CEO said they didn't, but that they were axing all original programming for HBO Max, which is part of why what we're getting into next with Batgirl was axed. But he actually came out and said, that's not true. We're not making blockbusters for HBO Max. We feel blockbusters should be made for the theater.
Which sounds great.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. 6 originals that had already been released and have been out on HBO Max for months, for the last couple of years.
Why.
But why remove them?
Well, we don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean,
who knows what type of, if they had some type of contract deal. I don't know.
They were made for the platform. They were made by Warner Brothers.
That's what I'm saying.
Why would you remove them off your platform?
They did that with all the theater movies last year, and then they brought them back. That's actually been a
those
Warner Brothers thing
on HBO Max.
But they still took them off and then added them back a few months later. Warner Brothers has been doing this rotating thing, so I don't know if that's Discovery or Warner Brothers. I'm not going to dog Discovery yet until I know.
Discovery has but Discovery had no original movie releases.
Not yet. Yeah.
The only movies that were released by HBO or by Warner Brothers on HBO Max.
Warner Brothers movies.
And why would you pull original content that was made for the service?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, but Warner Brothers was doing that before the merger.
I just don't think I think that's a bad move.
I agree. I'm not defending them. I was just saying Warner Brothers was already doing that before this merger, so I don't know.
I disagree.
Where that
They
came
weren't.
from.
They were doing it with theatrical releases. They weren't doing it with things that were made for HBO Max. That's a difference.
See, I don't pay attention enough to HBO Max to know what's missing and what's not missing.
No, I only know because I read the article that I linked to.
Pickle did get a theatrical end.
No, it was not.
It was
theatrical.
only streaming release.
Gotcha.
So why would you release something specifically on streaming on your platform and then pull it? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Especially these are one-off movies. These have no connection. This isn't like. I mean, heck, even I defend Netflix in the fact that, okay, you're not going to continue with The Dark Crystal or several other series that only have one season, but you're at least going to keep them on there for those who did enjoy the content or may want to revisit it. That's fine. I think that's at least something. It's like you already invested in it. It's not hurting you to keep the content on there.
Yeah.
Why remove it? That just doesn't make any sense to me. And I forget, it was Moonshot, American Pickle.
Yeah, I was just reading Moonshot, The Witches.
The Witches,
the remake, and then an American Pickle.
That's weird.
Super Intelligence, Locked Down.
In this day and age, with all the talk of censorship and what we've brought up on the show multiple times, I just find it kind of interesting. And
it says the American Pickle Lockdown. Those features were acquired by HBO Max rather than originated from Warner Brothers or New Line Cinemas.
They call them an original when they release them. I mean, Apple bought all of their movies and they call them Apple Original Pictures.
But that would be like Netflix saying that the Adam Project or something is now no longer going to be on Netflix, even though it's their original.
Well, they're just saying
film.
this is saying perhaps there was some money still being exchanged in order to keep them on the platform, and if they had to pay to keep them on the platform, maybe Discovery was saying
chose not to.
We're not going to keep paying for movies nobody's watching.
Yeah, if they're not being viewed, I understand them removing them.
I guess that makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. That's what this is saying, that because they didn't actually produce them themselves, if they were paying a fee to keep them on there, maybe they were just like,
I just wish they would clarify.
I wish they would. That's the
biggest
problem.
They didn't announce the departure, and I think that's
one
of those
BS
things
too.
where Netflix at least does tell, it's you can read articles that'll tell you, okay, this month here's what's fallen off and here's what's coming on.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like that they give you the heads up. I mean, most people
I agree.
don't read it.
If you're going to pull something, let your subscribers know, because I'm paying a subscription for
and we know
this
they,
service.
They definitely let people know when they've canceled something.
Oh, yeah.
That comes up very quick.
Yeah. In the case of the movie, I guess we're talking about canceling things. If you want to move into it, the case of Batgirl, obviously everybody's in an uproar.
Big news on the block.
They axed it. It was already, I believe, done filming. It just hadn't been through post production yet, or all post production. They had some early screenings. But they axed it, and Discovery's CEO said, it wasn't good enough to basically support. I'm paraphrasing. He's just said that
after spending $90 million.
He said after spending, Well, to be fair, that was already in production
Chump
before
change.
it. But he said, and a lot of people are speculating they'll do the tax write-off and save money that way rather than putting more money into post-production and marketing. But he's basically saying that they don't want to believe that it's going to hurt the brand. He didn't want to release because they actually now he has announced that they have they're developing a 10-year brand for DC modeled after
They're
Marvel.
developing a team that's going to oversee or come up with a 10-year plan.
They're modeling it after Marvel.
Yeah.
They're going to come up with a 10-year plan. There's going to be a through line. It's not going to be random movies. They're all going to be connected and geared towards something. And he said that are just axing. He said they're going to axe the things they didn't think are going to
Straight
work
BS.
or go for it. So
like, wow, that's
I don't know. That's BS.
5 years too late.
Here's why it's BS. Shazam's still coming out.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller's The Flash is still coming out.
Yeah.
Black Adam.
Well,
is supposed to be
the theory
huge. It's
is
coming
with-
out in like 2 months. This is BS.
I don't know. Great, because how do you know those don't tie into it? Ezra's the Flash specifically
Because
is being designed to fix a lot of this as the Flashpoint story, and that's what they're going in with.
Even if it does, for one, and we'll get into it. In just
it's
a
going to be
sec.
bad. I'm just saying.
No. It's going to be bad in the sense that Ezra Miller is freaking burglarizing and molesting. He's a freaking pedophile.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, I mean that's bad enough. But it's bad in the sense that it's like you don't axe things. We just a freaking year ago got the Snyder cut of Justice League. And I get it was at a different helm and not the same CEO. I get that. But if you're already allowing certain things to be released that fit into another universe that was created before you were at the helm, why not let it all just be released and then say, okay, now we're starting fresh? I get it with Batgirl if you don't want to tarnish the image. If you really thought the project was that bad, then just come out and say it. Because, and we'll talk about Kevin Smith's comments here in a sec. Because that's the other thing. The fact that they deliberately said they don't think it's up to par with that of Black Adam, The Flash, and Shazam. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, it must be really, really bad.
Well, the first Shazam did really well, and we both liked it.
Yeah, I know we reviewed it real highly.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Shazam already has, the IP is already there. We've already seen the first one, so it's like, and The Flash has already been in the Justice League and in Batman v Superman, so it's kind of like, I understand them following up with those characters and their stories since we've already
Black
they're
Adam's
already on.
new.
But Black
he's
Adam's
connected
new,
to
and
Shazam. He's which in the movie they're doing separate, but he is
okay.
They actually reference him in the first Shazam movie. They just don't name drop his name.
The logical reason why I think they're continuing with that one though is just because it was
The Rock.
The Rock.
I think they know The Rock's going to sell whether it's garbage or not. They're going to make money off of it.
Not just that, I think too that this was already in. I think it was already in. Not production.
Black Adam's been done for a while.
I think it's done.
It's been done for a while, but it's already been out in the open, and people have already latched onto it.
We've not seen any trailers or anything regarding Batwoman.
All we got about Batgirl's rumors mostly.
I've heard rumors that at the screenings they said that it looked like a made-for-TV movie. So
the test audiences hated it.
But I did also see another rumor that said it scored the same as Black Adam, 60 amongst test audiences. But again, the thing is they're saying, but because it's The Rock, they think it'll still make money, whereas Batgirl wouldn't. Yeah. But granted, it was only going to be an HBO Max release anyways. It was never supposed to go in
sexist.
And racist.
That is sexist
and
racist.
That's the running theory.
She's not a real minority.
The running theory is Zaslav is racist because he's axing Batgirl, which was a Latina Afro actress.
Let's talk about Kevin Smith's allegations and what he...
I get his point. I don't fully agree with everything, but I do get his point. And I do agree with some of it, and that Ezra's batshit crazy.
None of us could disagree with that. That's the only thing that I think is the biggest atrocity, is that they didn't cancel the Flash movie specifically before the announcement of the felony burglary charges just yesterday. So I think it's funny that it's like they didn't announce the Flash being canceled And yet I'm like, the writing is on the wall on that. You should definitely cancel it. There will be people, I think, I will be included in this, that will boycott the Ezra Miller film.
Yeah.
Simply because
he's Ezra Miller. Well, because
he's
of things he's done.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a creep.
I get the running, again, and it's all rumors, but the running theory is with it being Flashpoint in the comics that introduces DC's multiverse, and they're trying to reset everything to start afresh. But it's like, you don't have to make a movie to do that. You could just say, look, everything that came before, we're scrapping it, it's done, drop it, and we're just going to start new.
Yep.
The idea that you have to have the Flash movie to reset the universe, that way you don't hurt the feelings of the people who like the movies that came before, is stupid. If it's that bad, and it's like, look, we don't want to alienate this audience, but it's really bad, so we're just going to let the Flash come out. That doesn't make any sense.
Tarnishing your image is not a good excuse when you've got 3 potential movies coming out that could just do that.
Well, I think Ezra
Miller,
Black
Adam could tarnish their image too, and Ezra Miller's Flash could definitely do that.
Well, not even just the movies, just his actions.
I just don't take that as a good excuse.
His actions are tarnishing their image because now it's just saying that's, well, no matter what he does, we're going to let
they're
this
movie
be.
The Aquaman 2 is done, isn't it? And they still said Amber Heard was never fired from that role.
They said that she got reduced down to like 10 minutes, but she's still in it.
Yeah. So it's just
that's insane.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I still believe they're probably, I mean, they've already confirmed they're still continuing with the Joker movie. The sequel's coming out.
Well, because now they're trying to reassure everybody that they're not just axing everything. Because
that's the reason we've talked about DC being bifurcated and being a total mess.
Yes. Yeah.
And I do think Kevin Smith's right in the sense that I know where he's coming from in the passionate plea of, well, this just doesn't look good on them. Okay, yeah, the optics aren't good.
No.
I understand from a business perspective, and I completely agree with Sean. The more I think about it, it's like it is because she hasn't been introduced. Mm-hmm. I mean, these other films at least are coming out because we've already seen the characters in a one-off movie where they have somewhat a following or they think they're going to get somebody. Bringing out a new character that hasn't even been founded yet when you want to revamp the whole universe, it does make sense to hold off on that. Now, granted, where it doesn't, and this makes sense on your point, Keith, of them recouping a tax benefit or therefore a tax loss and saying, oh, we don't have to pay taxes on that movie. Spending $90 million on a movie you're not going to make any money off of.
You're not going to get all that kind of tax write-off anyways, but I guess they're just
they're going to take the loss.
Yeah.
They're going to take the loss. And I think they were expecting that if they dropped it because of the poor response from test audiences, from a theatrical release to a HBO Max release, they're not going to bring in new subscribers, and that's where I disagree with Kevin Smith. It's like he knows being in this business.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day,
look at he has to self-fund most of his movies.
Of course.
I gotta say, there's one thing that he said. I'm just gonna quote him real quick without dropping the F-bomb. But he says, like, it's incredibly bad look to cancel the Latina Batgirl movie. The fact that he threw in the word Latina shows that it looks bad in the race thing.
That's what everybody's making it about.
On top of that, though, he says, I don't give a effing shit if it's dog crap, blah, blah. I guarantee it wasn't. The 2 directors who directed that movie did a couple episodes of Miss Marvel, and it was a wonderful effing show. Yeah. But I'm just like, well, Patty Jenkins did a wonderful job with Wonder Woman, too, and look at what Wonder Woman 1984 was.
But everybody's making it an issue of race
absolute
and woke
issues.
Here's the thing.
Exactly.
To quote Kevin Smith.
And here's the thing. I think Kevin Smith's doing the same thing that, again, it's
I don't
not...
care what director directed it.
It's not a headline we're going to talk about, but Peter Jackson, I think he summed it up right when, everybody's trying to throw shade on like, oh, Lord of the Rings, the new series coming out, they tried to consult Jackson and then they gave him shade when he didn't want to have anything to do with it. And it's like Jackson just simply said, like, look, no, I'm not going to wish any ill will on anybody because filmmaking's hard enough. And I think Kevin Smith's doing the same thing here. Any filmmaker is going to come out on the behest of a filmmaker who's already done a project or is involved in a project.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But to try to, at the same time, throw out the line of it being, it's the cheap shot. It's easy to throw out the sexist, bigoted, racist, homophobic.
That's my point.
It's that crap that just, I roll my eyes at, and I'm like, nobody cares anymore. It's the woke crap run amok. Because at the end of the day, if your movie or your show is not of any substantive value,
if it's not making money, then
it's not going to succeed.
And that's my point. I'm getting aggravated by all the people because now they're thinking the Supergirl movie is going to get axed because it has I think a Latina actress playing Supergirl.
It has nothing to do with her being Latina.
Here's the thing.
No.
And maybe it will get axed because they don't think it'll sell, and that has nothing to do with her being Latina with as much as it has to do with they're like, look, people feel like they're now being like beaten over the head with the message, and these
Power
movies.
of the Dog had the whitest British dude playing a cowboy, and it sucked because the message was bad.
And that's the point.
Screwing
And
the
here's the
damn
thing.
handkerchief.
I don't even think that Discover or Zaslav are these right wing, like we're coming in and changing everything like they're acting.
They're just thinking about the bottom
They're
line.
just looking at money.
Yes.
that's what
They're
I'm
just
saying.
legitimately like, look, we don't think this is going to
Yeah.
sell. And here's the thing. A lot of woke things haven't. And if they
Yeah.
are waking up and saying, look, we're not running it the same way because we realize that doesn't sell, then more kudos to them. That doesn't mean they're racist. That just means they know that
They're
not,
reading the tea leaves of the actual people who
And
are in
again,
charge
I don't even think that's why
of the
they
content,
axed it.
which
I
is
don't-
the viewer.
I guarantee you they still make woke stuff. I don't think they axed it because they're
Well,
like, we're
of
getting away
course.
from. Well, that's what. But a lot of people are acting like, well, Discovery's getting rid of woke. It's like, I think they got rid of something that was woke, but that wasn't why they got rid of it.
No, no, absolutely it wasn't.
They're not. They don't. Just because it's coincidence. I don't think they correlate.
Agreed. But I do ultimately think with Kevin Smith's comments, I think he's, again, we know he's a comic book nerd. We know he follows this stuff hardcore.
He's
but
also, I just feel like Kevin Smith has always been a little bit bitter.
He has.
That DC or that Warner Brothers still hasn't offered him to direct a Superman or any other kind of superhero movie.
True.
That's his dream.
Yep.
Is for that
Well,
to
no,
happen.
he was, and it fell through, and I think
Yeah,
that's
I
why he's
know.
bitter because he was supposed to do a Superman movie.
I thought he was supposed to do it before Return of Superman
Yes.
Returns.
He was
Yeah.
originally supposed to do it, and then the producer at the time was a nut job. That's the guy that produced Wild Wild West, and he kept making. He has a hilarious stand-up bit. You have to Google it. He tells this whole story about he's talking to this producer, and they've been working for months, and he keeps writing a script and sending it in. And the producer will be like, "You need to change this." And at one point, he told him, he goes, "I need Superman to fight a giant spider." And Kevin Smith is like, "Why?" He's like, "No, it'd be good. We need to have." And when everything fell through, guess what happened in Wild Wild West?
They fight a
They have
giant
a giant
spider.
metal spider. The same producer. So Kevin Smith was like, he got his giant
Yeah,
spider.
he got what he wanted.
It's a hilarious stand-up
Yeah.
bit. But he was like, it was just, he said it was awful. Like they changed the script into something awful.
Well, and honestly, look, I can't blame. Look, the reason why this merger's happening is they have to try to consolidate resources to make the business successful. Obviously, HBO Max has been steady for a while. They've not been
Yeah.
losing subscribers.
they've actually been one of the best.
The better
They've been making the most money out of all those subscription
they got a
services.
slow
Yeah.
start, but they've been one of the better ones.
Yeah.
And you have other fledgling. Peacock is not doing so hot.
Yeah.
It's
awful.
It literally had 0% subscriber increase in the last quarter.
Oh, wow.
That's not good.
Yeah.
And when you have Discovery Plus now joining forces with HBO Max, you're starting to see exactly what we all predicted in the
Yeah,
sense
we
of
did,
these
yeah.
streaming wars.
Yeah.
You're not going to have people who are willing to pay cable prices for 5-6 streaming services.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. So now you have this consolidation of two major streamers. One, I think that it makes sense because of the diversity of content with regard to, what the Discovery Channel used to be.
I think Disney
and where
should
they
do
need
that
to
with-
get back
a lot
to.
on
With Disney
there.
Plus,
No, there's
Hulu, and
nothing
ESPN
good.
Plus, I know you can get the bundle, but it's like, why not just make one streaming service? If you own it all, why have all these streaming
Well, and I'm sorry, but
services?
like they mentioned in their press release about Chip and Joanna Gaines content and stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's freaking Home and Garden. Like, why
Yeah.
is this on Discovery
Yeah.
Plus?
Yeah.
Granted, I get it. I know
That's
it gets
Home Network.
viewers,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but again, it's like at the end of the day, when you have this kind of identity crisis with regard to what content you're delivering, I think the CEO is making a smart move of trying to very distinctly say, okay, we've got these two platforms becoming one. We've got to be very deliberate in how we approach this and how we move forward and business savvy with it. We don't want to afford the mistakes of the past, like the DC, multiverse universe, whatever you want to say. Even again, we've criticized it for not being Marvel, but we've also criticized Marvel now for going too far and jumping the shark. I don't want another Marvel universe.
Yeah.
I'd like something unique. And I don't necessarily need DC to pull all these different strings to make
Yeah.
themselves so diverse and so
Here's
different
my
than
thing.
Marvel. I just want some good movies.
Yes, I just want good movies. If they make some 10-year plan that all leads to some amazing Justice League film, that's fine. If they just keep making solid stuff like Joker or the Batman, it's like, that's fine too. It's like, not everything has to be connected as long as you're making great movies. Because, I mean, that's another question. It's like, if you have this 10-year plan, then where does that leave the Batman sequel and the Joker sequel, which we know aren't connected to anything? And they say, oh, well, they're still going to release those. It's like, okay, but then not everything in your 10-year plan is going to be connected.
Yeah. Right.
So-
Well, and again, I think it's interesting that they're still going along. I get it from a business standpoint because they're thinking, this is going to be something that's successful long term, and that's what we need. We want that staple, but we're also still going to provide a lot of other content that's not in the same DC universe for the platform. I mean, hell, we've got House of Dragons starting soon from a Game of Thrones spinoff, and I'm actually looking forward to it more than I am the Lord of the Rings series. But I still am questioning in terms of with the DC universe. It's like, okay, I don't know if the superhero appeal is
starting to fade.
It is, and I'm kind of questioning as to I really don't know. I don't know if I think HBO is or Warner Brothers is taking the right approach in questioning how they can make like a Kevin Feige character in their ranks to kind of push out that content. But truthfully, I don't know if superhero films are going to be as popular as successful in 10 years' time. I really don't.
You had this huge jump between Christopher Reeve's Superman. That was unseen when Richard Donner did that. Nobody has ever seen anything like that on film. And then you have this huge gap where you have films like The Punisher, and it's not a superhero, but I mean you have a stuff when Iron Man came out,
Blade in the 90s,
and Blade, and Spawn was terrible. But I mean, Iron Man hit the nail on the head, and it really showed what wow, we finally have the visual technology to make these characters
Sam
real.
Raimi's Spider-Man before that.
That's true.
But then you still had another gap between that and
there was
Iron
a large
Man.
gap.
So
And I just think you've got like the fact that there was that gap made people hungry for another set of superhero films. And that's where Marvel came in at the right time with the right movies and made that happen. But now, like you said, the water is just kind of everything's diluted. Now there's just so many of them that it's kind of like, it's not anything. And then I think that's where a film like Top Gun comes out and gives you a new hero. It gives you an American hero, and it gives you reality, and it gives you, emotional character, and all that stuff. And I think that's why it was such a big hit amongst all of the Marvel hype, because we're starting to kind of get tired of the superhero thing.
Well, you can only live in a fantasy world for too long. And granted, especially when that fantasy world exists or coexists with the same characters and the same through lines or plot points.
So big that you can't even keep up with everything.
Yeah. No,
that's
true.
my issue.
And honestly, I mean, we've talked about this with some of the side characters in Marvel movies. I mean, it's starting to get to the point of unless you follow the mythos, and I think there's a fan base for it. I think there's still money to be had, no doubt. I mean,
just like things like Star Trek and Star Wars, there's a fan base, but then you have to scale back. Like, okay, what do you do? Like Star Trek is focusing on just its streaming series, and that's been working for it, even though I wouldn't. And then Star Wars has kind of been doing the same, where they're just focusing on their Disney Plus stuff right now.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like they get sick of it, no matter what it is. Because I mean, Star Wars is starting to hit some fatigue now too.
Well, and I think I was talking to somebody at work about this too, and it kind of reminds me of when Lord of the Rings dropped, and then you got these epic, huge battle scale movies,
Troy, Kingdom of Heaven,
right? Yeah. All these type of medieval, Age of Empires type of story beats, and I'm like, you go through pop culture and it transitions. I mean, vampires and werewolves and
Underworld hit big with that.
I was going to say, and
Twilight,
yeah, but
Vampire Diaries,
you have these cultural zeitgeists that do stick around for a period, and I think it's smart on Warner Brothers' part to hold off on expanding too much more into the universe that's already been created that hasn't shown the steady. Because here's the thing, we know Marvel is going to withstand a few flops here and there. We know they're in it for the long haul. Marvel Studios has been around for 10 years now, and they're not going. I mean, look, we dog on Thor, and we know that yes, it's not as successful as others. Yeah. It's still the highest grossing Thor movie. Yeah, it's still going to continue. It's going to take a long time for the Marvel flops to rack up.
They have to release a string of flops one right after the other before people are like, okay,
they're on track.
Exactly. they're getting there.
Movie-wise, their Disney Plus series, other than Miss Marvel, have all been doing really well. So,
but it's interesting because
Kevin
it's
Smith
like
loves Miss Marvel.
He said that. That's true. I thought it was
funny. It's also their lowest rated Marvel series.
I thought that was interesting. He pulled that one. I thought it tied in exactly with the point he was trying to make.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Another
of
female
course you're
character,
going to pick
Yeah.
a series that's underperforming to try to be like, well, I'm going to boost it up because I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Virtue
Yeah.
signaling. Good job, Kevin Smith.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I just think Warner Brothers is doing the right thing by not continuing with the universe that's already existed. The problem is, and maybe they'll get this continuing and moving forward, is the DCU really worth something? Because granted, there
What
are
if
some
their 10-year
great
plan is to return to the Snyderverse? What if they're not casting those movies because they've decided we're not going to go do Warner Brothers
You're gonna double
360?
down on it.
What if we decide
They,
we're just
they
going to
haven't
continue
necessarily opened up by that.
on? I'm just saying.
No,
what
I'm just
if?
saying
Yeah,
they've made it sound like the Snyderverse is kind
It's
of
done. Yes, they have.
and it's over.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
They've definitively said they're not continuing in that direction.
Yeah.
They want a Kevin Feige character at the helm to make a cohesive.
Well, I didn't say
DCU.
like I don't think they were going to bring him back. I'm just saying, what if they
I
pick
know.
someone to kind of
But
continue
I
on to
think
make it new?
If you pick a Kevin Feige character to helm that universe, you can't continue with something that
but they're
was
still
created
kind
before.
of but they're still saying they're going to keep Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa.
Jason
So it's
Momoa,
like if
yeah.
you're keeping people from the Snyderverse, how do you refresh? Like
and here's,
it's so
here's the
weird.
thing, and here's the problem.
They're keeping Henry Cavill too.
Well, there's been
Supposedly,
talk,
yeah.
rumor about that.
I
I
mean,
didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
no.
I think it's a bad move. They need to clean the slate. Start fresh. Start completely over from scratch.
Yep.
You will not. The name and the brand is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
It's not the actor portraying them. I'm sorry. We've had their movies. We've seen them. We've had 3 iterations of Batman.
Yeah, I know.
I don't.
We've had too many Batman in the last couple of years.
And I do not count Batfleck. I'm only counting.
Wow. Yeah, you better.
You're not counting a lot.
Get all
if
10 fingers out to count them.
I was actually going to only say Michael Keaton,
Christian Bale.
Val Kilmer, and Christian Bell. And
Val
even Val
Kilmer.
Kilmer.
George Clooney, you gonna leave him out?
He's leaving out Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
One of the better ones in my
I'll
opinion.
throw him in there. I'll throw Robert. He was good.
I won't put him with Keaton or Bale
Okay.
yet, but it's only because he's only had one
Yeah.
movie.
That's true. He's got to continue.
He's
But
gotta-
anyway,
yeah.
I know we're beating a dead horse here.
I know. We like to beat dead horses.
I do not think the Batgirl, cancellation is something to be worried about. I know fans are upset. That's
you think
fine.
Ezra Miller
That's
is something
always,
people should worry about?
Yes, I do. And
Hide your wife.
I can't
hide your
believe-
kids.
we already mentioned it. The dude should be locked up.
Well, I have read again rumors. That's because that's all we get. Not just as far as DC goes. That after the Flash, they are done with him. It's like, okay, so you're just like, we acknowledge he's terrible and you need to be rid of him, but you're not going to scrap the Flash. It's like,
Nope.
we're going to release this movie, then we're never working with him again.
I don't understand it. That should have literally been one of the major announcements from the panel. He's
He's
from
being
the
charged with felony
presser.
burglary.
Yeah. and before that, plenty of other charges.
They dropped Johnny Depp for just mere
Yes.
rumors.
Yeah.
It was slander. Like they had nothing on him and they dropped him.
That wasn't Warner Brothers, though.
It was Warner Brothers for the Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's
Fantastic
true.
Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts.
But
Fantastic
granted,
Beasts.
it wasn't Discovery. It didn't own them then, but they
Yeah,
Well,
I don't
look at
know.
that. I mean,
Disney's tried to get him back.
Yep.
And he said no.
Well, and I think there was news today that released. I haven't read it, but it was news of a multi-year huge contract deal with Johnny Depp. I'd have to look it up.
I don't think with Disney.
No, not with Disney, but just in general. And I let me see.
I
real
read that.
quick.
I don't
It's
know
with
how
DC.
true.
He's
I
going to
don't.
be Superman.
I don't know how true this is, but I think it's funny if it is. There's been a
Yeah,
rumor
Johnny
that,
Depp signed 7-figure deal with Dior after defamation. trial victory.
Dior's
Is that's the
cologne he
cologne.
does. Yeah, he already does their commercials.
Yeah.
But a 7-figure deal, gosh sakes.
I read a
And
thing
Suave-
online that said that some porn company
Suave
approached
cologne.
Amber Heard and offered her $6 million to do a porno, but I think that's
I
hilarious.
didn't offer $6 million. That's all rumor.
What? Oh, you didn't offer?
No, I wouldn't offer her that.
I didn't know
much.
you had a porn company.
Yeah.
But I think that's hilarious if true. It's like this is all you're good. I'm just like, this is all you're good for now.
I offered her
like
$6.
It's like literally some porn company just comes up to her. It's like
$6
nobody
and-
wants to see you in anything unless you're naked.
I got
so come work for
$6
us.
and a box of My Pillows for her to crap on, and that's it.
That's what all the comments online were saying. It's like they wanted to do a scat film, a scat fetish.
2 girls and Amber Heard. Amber Heard in one cup.
It's like, girl, I got you over here $6 and some monkeypox.
She probably hates her life now, and she probably still blames everyone else. She's just like, why did they do this to me?
Her porn name is Amber Turd.
Amber Turd.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah, that's her porn name.
She only does anal. Oh,
Terrible. I went there. I'm sorry. I went
This is
there.
getting a little
She doesn't-
X-rated.
she doesn't
Our
clean
show's
first.
It's after 10.
it's true.
We can go X-rated after 10.
Woo-wee.
All right.
Well, I don't. I think
stop
we've
before it
covered
gets-
everything mostly.
Monkeypox
haven't we?
is not spread by monkeys; it's spread by Amber Heard. Don't touch Amber Heard.
Don't touch it.
Alrighty, guys, let's move into our. Oh wow, this is gonna be a good transition.
Yeah.
Let's talk about relationships.
This is great.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above and a thing called love.
I love that little intro. Alrighty, guys, let's talk about it. Keith, you actually sent the topic today, so I'll let you
That's a turd
introduce
coming
it.
out. What's more important, forgiveness or acceptance?
Ooh.
Amber Heard.
Oh, call in. We'll take your call.
Yeah.
We're that desperate.
555. 555. 5555.
So yeah, I'll throw it to you guys. What do y'all think?
I think forgiveness is more important.
I agree.
I don't really think you should be accepting of everything, unlike our culture is trying to teach.
I agree. Well, I told Brandon, it kind of it's different, but it does go along the same vein as like. Oh crap! Now I just said it earlier today. Now I'm gonna forget it. Clarity over agreement. You know, rather have clarity than agreement. And it's kind of the same thing here. It's like I can forgive you for something. That doesn't mean I have to accept what you did because it may not be okay.
Yeah. Well, you can forgive and not forget too. Only
True.
God can do that. I kind of feel like as human, we're
supposed to try,
We're
but
supposed
we
to
all fail,
try,
yeah.
but yeah, I kind of feel like that's always, especially if somebody's hurt you, that's always going to be in the back of your mind, or maybe in the front of your mind. But forgiveness is not bringing that back up every time. You know, like I think married couples can definitely get into a habit of that, where it's like you store those things up. You can say, I forgive you, it's okay, or whatever, but then of course 10 years later it's going to be like, just like that last time you did that, you know. It's just like, well, it's like, no, you're supposed to kind of let that go.
Yeah.
And
You stored it in the back of
you
your
stored it in
mind.
the back of your mind, man.
One
Kept
day
it
you
there.
said, "Listen here, you.
Listen here.
I forgave you, but I didn't forget it."
That's right. Yeah.
I would agree, but I do think to note, and I think it's something that in marriage, especially when you are, professing and also
Your faith.
well, yeah, no, yeah,
yeah.
but
I'm just
when
mis-
when you're professing but also demonstrating true love, then yes, you have forgiveness, but you also have true repentance. And I think that's
Yeah.
I think anybody who is asking for forgiveness but not seeking true repentance is not really, for me, I don't think I'm obligated righteously to, I wouldn't say not forgive that person. I would still forgive them, but that would be the essence of where I wouldn't forget. Because to me, I'm not going to allow, because we are human. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
God is the only one who can be 100% true and gracious in repentance or in forgiveness. But even in that grace, it is, I think, our obligation out of showcasing and demonstrating that love for God that He has first shown us to truly be repentant and to not, again, to continually go back to God and say, oh, God, yeah, by the way, I slipped up again. My bad. Did that same thing that I asked for forgiveness for. Because that's not true. I don't think you're truly repentant. You're not truly asking for grace. And I think you're demonstrating on why you shouldn't be forgiven. Not that God won't forgive you, but as a human, I think it's very much to keep from being manipulated, to keep from being gaslighted. I think we absolutely should be aware of those who may try to pull one over on us because we are forgiving. And I don't think God would want us to be hurt by those who so quote unquote love us by continually forgiving them and accepting harm on our behalf. Because yes, we are asked to be Christ-like, and I think we should bear that cross. But Christ would not, I think, showcase the right judgment in saying, "But I'm going to still call you out on the sins that you have been convicted of, that you are convicted of. Not that I won't forgive you, but you should be aware of those. And so I agree. I think I would agree with forgiveness over acceptance. However, I think it's kind of different in, I guess, human terms and spiritual terms.
Yeah, you're also tiptoeing on judgment versus accountability too.
Yeah,
And that's a little bit of
I
a
think
different thing
that's-
as well. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Sometimes
we get deep.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's like you have scripture where he tells you to turn the other cheek, but you also have scripture where he says if you go into this town and they don't, they're just not having it, brush the dust off your sandals and never go back.
Right.
Don't even have the
And
dust from their
he
town on your feet.
goes into the temple and
right. So
turns over the tables of the money changers. I mean, there are times where I think you have a righteous anger that is justified in how you approach a situation. Does that mean you carry that very righteous anger to the point of unrighteous anger? No.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard to toe that line when you are a human, because it's very easy, again, to look at the speck in someone else's eye than realize the log in your own eye.
Yeah.
But in terms of having a healthy relationship with another person, is it more important to have, forgiveness between that person or
No
acceptance?
doubt. No doubt forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, Keith. I mean, when you're being accepting, I think you're deceitful. You're being deceitful not only to yourself, but to the other person.
An opportunity for them to do it again, because it's like, I forgive you and I'll accept it. So it's like, oh, well, they accept me doing this, they'll forgive me for it again. And it's like, no, I forgive you, but I don't accept this. And that limits, because it's like, you can't just expect, like you said, just like true repentance. If you're not willing to try to stop, then it's like, well, then I'm not going to be willing to, like, I can forgive you once or twice, but when you no longer are able to prove to me that you can't stop the harmful thing you're doing, then at some point you have to kind of wash your hands and be like, look, until you can learn your lesson, I can't accept it, because it's not a healthy relationship at that point.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, because you have, I think, the righteous perspective of calling them out and saying, but are you truly asking for forgiveness? If you're going to continue to act this way and not showcase love, a true love to me, I have every right. I have every right to call you out and say that is not demonstrating true love.
And then you just get a divorce. The kids are crying. Mommy and daddy aren't going to be together no more. Got 2 Chris now.
Broken home.
Broken home.
Broken home.
Break it up.
It's on. It's gone.
Got a little extreme there.
Yeah.
But no,
David Leitch.
Excess. But no, I think that I also think too, in this day and age, Sean, you brought it up, culturally, we are constantly being bombarded with messages of accepting things that we know are not true. Accepting lies for the betterment, not betterment, for the understanding and good-natured feelings, for making someone
accepting lies
appear,
so someone else will feel better about something that
isn't
could be
true.
harmful. Yeah,
that isn't true. I mean, take body shaming, for instance. I mean, we have this whole culture now surrounding the fact that you can't call someone fat, or you can't raise an alarm about someone's being overweight.
Yeah.
And it's like, but is that true? Showing true love by allowing them to continue to be gluttonous and act, upon, or make these actions knowing that they're harming themselves and they're going to kill themselves ultimately? How is that showing? I mean, it's same as a drug addict. Why would I buy a needle for a drug addict or buy a bottle for an alcoholic? How am I showing them or demonstrating them true love? By accepting
well, you're just
their
hurting their
brokenness.
feelings, you jerk.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean that's the world we live
Well,
in.
that's the thing. There's a difference too in talking to somebody to try to help them to do better and not harm themselves, and also just being a complete jerk and making fun of them. Yeah, no, like, there are manners. You should be polite. Like, yeah, you don't just walk up to somebody on the street and be like, look, you fat lard, get off. You're like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? But there's decorum, and nobody's arguing against decorum.
There's tact.
But that's the extreme that they take it, and it's like, well, you're gonna hurt their feelings. It's like, maybe, yeah, but you don't. Like, that doesn't mean you're a jerk for trying to help, unless you are being a jerk. But
I think you can, if you can further separate forgiveness and acceptance too, in a sense, like if one of my sons, at some point in their life, if one of them comes to me and says, "Dad, I'm gay," or something like that. Obviously, I don't agree with that.
That's just not, say, get out of my house.
That's not part of my beliefs. But I can also acknowledge the fact that my son is a sinner just like I am. I've been forgiven. I too have to forgive, but that doesn't mean that I have to accept his lifestyle.
Correct.
It's like I can't change that. I can't make him be somebody that he doesn't think he is or that he's not choosing to be, but I can forgive him and love him because he's still my son. If he was on death row for murder, I don't know if the family of the victim can forgive him, but I could give forgiveness. I can love him even on death row as my son, but I'm also going to understand completely that he deserves to be there, and whatever the consequences are, whether in this side of heaven or the other, that's on him. And it's like I'm not going to accept him and be like, oh yeah, good job, son.
Oh, well, of course not.
No.
And I think what you're bringing up too is, and what we've all kind of brought up is very not only valuable, but how do we rectify or face that circumstance in a world increasingly and begrudgingly, or actually not begrudgingly, but happily distorting reality to fit
what's
their
right
truth.
and wrong. Yeah.
And
they're distorting
eroding
right and
away
wrong. Yeah.
any kind of black and white of right or wrong.
Yeah.
Truth, lies. But literally distorting reality to fit their own perception in a make-believe world. I mean, we are living in a time now where truthfully the essence of reality is completely being fabricated by not just individuals at large, but by social fabricated institutions that we used to have trust in, or that we used to think, oh, that'll never happen. But now we have law enforcement agencies, we have, schools, public affairs. I mean, the Justice Department. We have several different agencies that are distorting the very truth and nature of what truth is, just to fit what?
Yeah.
What are we aiming at? That's kind of the hard. It's so hard because the changing and malleability of this kind of, I don't know what it is we're chasing after as a culture. It literally is becoming. I mean, it's like we're just
Romans 1, man.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that we've traded the truth for a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone away from a collective right and wrong to an individual right and wrong.
Yeah.
To now it's like, well, if you don't think that's wrong, then that doesn't mean that I have to. Or
it's all subjective.
Yeah, it's all subjective. So there's no collective just like ingrained in our DNA what's right and wrong. It's well, what do you feel is right and wrong? Oh, that's nice. Why do you feel that way? Oh, yeah, I accept that. That's what we've traded the truth for a lie.
And I think that's why this topic is very valuable, in the sense that it's good to have the discussion of forgiveness versus acceptance, because it's good to I think, make it paramount that we forgive, because we are all sinners.
We should. Yeah. We should forgive Ezra Miller, but not accept him.
Exactly. 100% agree. And here's the thing, because you make choices, but you lay in the bed that you've created. Mm-hmm. And I completely agree. Or what?
Or pooped in the case you never heard.
The bed you pooped in.
Not ready to forgive
that poop.
Not ready to forgive her yet.
Yeah. If she does porn, I'll forgive her.
She's gonna get an OnlyFans by the end of the month.
Oh my gosh.
She's got to pay Johnny Depp back somehow.
Yeah, if the appeal falls through, that's where she's headed.
I mean, I'm just being completely honest with you. If she's on OnlyFans, she'll be able to pay him back in like a week.
I was gonna say, she'll make more money than she has her entire film career.
That's exactly right.
Just
it's like don't tell me a woman can't make money in media. All you got to do is show your boobs, and you'll make some money.
That's the problem.
That's the sad thing.
That's the they want to be able to make money without showing their
we're
movies.
talking about.
It's like God gave Tom Hanks talent. He gave you boobies. Just show them, and you'll make money.
No.
This is not the values.
Now I'm imagining Terry McGillis. It's like, I can come back in Top Gun 2. I have boobies. No.
I bet her boobies look younger than the rest of her.
No.
I'll at least,
have you seen her?
I'll at least admit
no, I haven't seen her boobs.
Have you seen her? You can look at her and tell her boobies don't look good. She doesn't have any shape. It's just round.
I'll say this about Terry McGillis. She at least admitted when they asked her, like, were you mad and they didn't ask you?
No.
She's like, no, I'm old and fat.
Look at me.
She was like, look at me.
Yeah.
She admitted it.
I got a mirror.
Exactly. So kudos to her. She accepted reality.
True. True.
Oh, but yeah, those were
yeah.
not the values we report on this show.
Yeah.
Just saying. Okay. All righty, guys. Thank y'all for joining us. What
Forgive
about
us.
you? Please forgive us. Forgive us. We're human.
I don't want forgiveness.
Well, you don't have it.
Just accept me.
For
Accept
who I
everything
am.
about me.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for joining this show this week. Right there at the bottom of your screen, like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell icon to get all
Click
our
it,
notifications.
click it right now. Do
Search
it.
for us on Red Moon.
Do it.
Book,
Have you clicked
Red
it yet?
Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics, and search for us, Red Moon Productions, on YouTube to find us there. Thank you all so much for joining us. Of course, we'll be back next Tuesday. We're not taking another week off.
Oh my
we don't know
goodness.
what movie we're reviewing.
I
yet.
don't
we got to
either.
figure that out.
It's
Whoa.
up in the air.
That's
We've
a great
already done
movie.
that
That's a great
a long time
No, we
ago.
didn't. We never reviewed it.
Not on the podcast.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but you
We've
said
already
we
seen it.
reviewed it. We never reviewed it.
No, not on the podcast.
Even on the not off the podcast. We just said we liked it.
That's a review to me. I liked it.
I just said it's up in the air. I didn't mean for you to go.
I said we
thinking
already
about-
done that.
I really want to watch that movie. It's a great movie.
I know.
Jason
It is
Reitman.
I've already seen it.
It's a good movie. Vera Farmiga
I've already seen it.
and George Clooney.
I'm just saying.
And
we've
then
already
You
seen
sound,
it.
you sound like
I've
my
already seen
wife. If she's seen it once, that's it. That's all she needs.
That's
she
not
don't need
true,
to watch
'cause
it again.
I watched stuff so many times
Dude.
over.
It's ridiculous. If you knew how many times I've seen Dune, you would be literally. That's almost a 3-hour movie.
Yes.
I have wasted days, weeks, probably at this
Watching
point
that?
watching
Yeah.
that movie.
See, that's my guilty pleasure,
God
Titanic.
dang.
I trash
Oh,
James
gosh.
Cameron and
Yes.
I trash Titanic, but I
Yeah.
have watched that movie way many more times than I should.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't.
I mean, I watch things over and over, but I hop around. I don't know if
The
there's
Ten Commandments. I
specifically
watched that
one
movie like 5 times a
I've
year.
seen it a lot.
Mine
God.
are series.
I've
Boy Meets
seen-
World.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
at
I
least
probably- I
once a
re-
I don't
year.
go back to shows.
I
for some
rewatch
reason.
series more than movies. I mean,
It's
I've
too
seen
long.
Lord of the Rings and Star Wars multiple times.
Yeah, Lord of
but
the
I
Rings
mean,
is definitely on that list.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to talk about that.
what?
That should be on a segment. We need to really mark that.
Things-
A segment revisiting movies.
Okay.
I revisit lots of things.
Which ones do you go back
Yeah,
to?
which ones do you go back to? Which ones do you revisit?
We
Which,
have
you
kind
know-
of talked about before, like the movie that
New
comes
or
on
old.
TV that's like I have to watch that.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's on.
Yep.
We've talked about do we watch new things or rewatch things more often?
We have, but we
We've
haven't
talked
talked
about
like,
everything.
We have
Yeah.
everything,
But
in
we
the
haven't
universe.
specifically talked about all the things
382
we
episodes
rewatch
in. We've
every
talked about
time.
everything. If it exists, we've covered it.
Just like our email,
Yeah.
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Wow.
Email us what you watch.
Yeah.
Over
What-
and over again.
What have we not said that you want to hear?
Yeah.
Just give. I
Tell
don't
us.
care. Just give
You've
it to
watched
us.
just 382 episodes. We
Pick-
want to hear from
Pick
you.
something that you think we should watch and see if we do, because we may not. Sometimes
not.
we lie about things. We still never watched The Chosen.
That's true.
I
we
mean,
did lie about
I've
it.
seen most of it, but
Sean has.
We did say we were going to review it for multimedia. We have
and
not
we,
yet.
we never
We
have.
No.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on
Isn't
the
it
sequel.
sad we lied about a Christian sequel?
I'm waiting on the second
It's
coming.
like we'll
then I'm gonna watch
There
it.
you go.
we'll review The
forgiveness.
Stand with Ezra Miller and Amber Turd both in it, but we won't watch The Chosen.
That's true. We wasted 10 weeks of our life on the Stand. That was
That's
terrible.
how bad that was. Is it had them in it before anybody even knew they were both crazy.
and the basically that series and how good it was sums up their
I
careers.
think that's Ezra Miller in real life. Trash Can Man is. I could see him
I-
walking
yeah.
like
Wow.
as he's burglaring people.
Alrighty, guys, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Tune in next week live at 9 p.m. on Tuesday. We are here every single week. Thank you all so much for joining
You
us.
want some bourbon?
See, well, I waited for her to jump up.
She wants
She
some
always
bourbon.
has to jump up to let our viewers know it's the end of the show. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host
Sean Sebastian.
and you. Oh, I didn't fix it.
Oh my
I didn't
goodness!
fix the.
Oh
I
no!
didn't fix it.
Thank why Live Tuesday.
Oh, there it goes. That's fixed.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.